Elburritomonster. So can you give us a quick introduction to what you do and,
I'm Ollie, class of 2015, known as Elburritomonster on social media. That was basically a lockdown hobby that turned into my job accidentally because I tried to do like a normal office job, and as many of the teachers of the school will know, I'm not great at being told what to do. So I thought I'd have to make my own way where I don't have a boss, basically. So I decided to work for myself instead.
Yeah, I heard that you studied maths at uni, so it's obviously quite a different path that you've taken now. Like, what sort of inspired you to sort of pursue cooking instead?
I've always loved food. I used to be a lot bigger than I am now, but since I made it my full-time job, I'm able to do enough exercise to work it back off again. So I'm 6 stone lighter now than I was about 2 years ago. So I've managed to lose weight while making crazy big burritos. I went to uni and I basically cooked for all my housemates rather than going to lectures, and ended up getting really good at cooking. And then when lockdown hits back in 2020, there's the new app called TikTok, which you've grown up with it, haven't you, at your age? But it was very much the new app for us, and I downloaded it, made a few TikToks and sent to my mates, like these two here, and accidentally went viral on it with a few cooking videos. The first one was like a sausage and egg McMuffin, randomly, and just it got quite addictive, so I carried on, and eventually you get to the point where you're able to work with brands and sponsors and partners, and you can basically make it your job.
Yeah, that's great, yeah.
So was there anything in school that inspired you to do this? Because, did you take food tech here?
I did take food tech here. I wouldn't say the skill necessarily transferred that much because there's it's very much like the cooking basics back then, but it's certainly started me on my love of food. Because again, making baked vel tarts and stuff isn't exactly the same as making birria lamb pizzeritos, which is what we're going to be making today. But no, I kind of found it by accident, but then I guess the plan was to come in here and talk about it as a career option, because for you guys it's quite a big possible career opportunity now, isn't it? The creator economy has doubled in size in the past 3 years, and it's projected to do the same in the next 3 years. So when I was at school, it was this far-reaching thing where some people do it. You get YouTubers like KSI or people like that, but nowadays it's there's very much a creator middle class, and it's a career opportunity for loads of people. So I feel it'd be probably a lot of people in your year now may end up doing it as a job. It's definitely one to get into.
Yeah, what would you say were your main influences at school that sort of pushed you to do this? I know that it wasn't your first sort of instinct to go down a cooking route, but were there any teachers or just anything you did at school that really sort of started your passion?
I guess it was sort of it was more like the extracurricular stuff that I was doing. The skills that I learned, I didn't realise at the time they'd be so useful and transferable later on, but I don't know if you guys still have Model United Nations, is that still a thing?
Yeah, I do that.
Do you do that? Do you do that as well?
No.
You should do that, it's really good. Because being able to formulate arguments and ideas and debate and stuff and like that, you learn various conversational skills, and they definitely don't come naturally to me. I'm naturally a very socially awkward person. I've often had a stutter when I talk. Doing this career now is the last thing that anyone back then would expect me to be doing. But so I was basically a maths geek. I used to compete for maths challenge at school, so I used to go and do all those competitions. Is that still a thing? Just have maths challenge?
Yeah, we've done that, yeah.
Nice. So you quickly realise when you join the working world that natural talents matter far less than hard work and graft, because you can effectively brute force your way to be good at anything. I've effectively, just from repetition and doing it over and over again, become good at content creation, when it was never a skill I ever thought I'd ever see myself doing. So doing all the extra stuff on the side that isn't your natural, the thing you're good at. Because I was rubbish at MUN. I didn't win that many awards here and stuff, but just those basic social skills and interaction stuff, it comes in handy later in life, and you don't realise it's going to be useful until you're actually doing it. And I've had to do presentations to brands where I go in and do these big PowerPoint presentations on how to do this in social media, how to do TikToks, how to do X, Y, Z. And I realised when I was doing it, the last time I'd done a presentation was at school. Because I went to a maths degree, and a maths degree is all just it's just doing maths effectively. There's no, some degrees, like any like language degrees or English and whatever else, you do presenting as part of it, but it wasn't at all part of my degree. So the last time I'd done a presentation was at school, and suddenly I was getting paid like a decent chunk of money from a client to go and do a presentation, but the last time I'd done anything like that was at school. So I guess those skills, like 8 years on, like, oh, I've done that before 8 years ago, hopefully I can rehash and figure out how to do it again now. And it does come in really handy later on down the line.
Yeah, I heard you talk about how you want to do math and not content creation. I'm sure like a lot of us have probably posted something by accident on TikTok and it did well on the For You page, but what made you want to pursue it as like your main job?
Well, it's the barriers to entry to doing it have dropped drastically over the years, because as you said, anyone can go viral nowadays, but I guess making it your job is sort of doing it over and over again and building up the community, building up an audience. So now, like, you can follow a certain set of rules in how to make videos and how to go viral. Like, if you hook the video right, you've got an interesting idea. Like what we're making today, is food is accessible to everyone, but you got to think, okay, so I'm going to make this cool dish. How am I going to make people actually watch it on the For You page or the Instagram Explore page over and over again? And it's basically, you can watch videos on how to hook a video. It's all over TikTok. So it's like, you can start a video by saying, you could even just slam a piece of meat on the counter and I've got a massive chicken. And it's effectively hinting constantly towards what you're making without revealing it straight away. And when you learn this, like, there's various techniques to do it, but when you learn the techniques of how to tell a story in a way that actually keeps people watching, that skill can be transferred to more or less anything. So I chose to do food because it's what I'm passionate about, but like, if someone was passionate about climbing, they could figure out how to make an interesting video about climbing, and the people who also like climbing are going to watch it. Because all these algorithms now, they're so specific and so tailored towards people and their interests. It figures out what people like and shows them it. So you can find your community from all over the country just by like posting videos about what your interests are.
Yeah, do you have any other like advice and techniques to go viral on TikTok?
Yeah, well, it's effectively have a cool idea, be doing something different. So, I mean, I've got friends now who their full-time job is either to like travel the country and review towns. Like one of my mates, he had a different job. He had a 9 to 5, and now he goes around to UK towns and cities, and he goes to like the good ones and the bad ones. He'll go up to like, he'll do London, he'll do Skegness, and he just makes videos reviewing towns, and then he'll get paid by people like the Train Line or National Express or various travel companies now. So like, he'll do a video visiting a town, he'll use a train service to get there, and his job is then to promote the train service for one video out of 5, where he does like an actual paid partnership. And he just loved going around the country, and now he goes around the country for a job effectively. And it's just learning how to be funny, how to tell a story. Yeah, a lot of stuff that I do isn't actually for my own account. I do like various videos for like branded accounts where I make food videos, but without my face in it, without my following, and without my name. And these videos still manage to perform really well, just because I've figured out how to tell a story in a way that engages people. People like connection, people like interactivity. So when you're telling a story, you almost want to involve that person in the story. So you can start a video by saying, is anyone else sick of boring old pizza? And then like, oh, it's gonna be, then you know, it's like, oh, is it going to be a twist in the pizza? Is it going to be something a bit different? And they're kind of curious to see like what's coming next. So if I wanted to be a hiking content creator, I could say, you know when you're just bored on a Sunday morning and you end up in the middle of Snowdonia, and then you just hook a video about that, and then people who are interested in that sort of thing are going to like, oh, where is he? Like, what's he doing? Or like, as long as you've got like a cool, you almost want to start stories now in the middle of the story rather than the start, because people's attention spans now are not what they used to be. So you almost want to tell the story when you're actually bang in the middle of it. You can go back to the start, but you want to sort of start like in the middle of the action, because people don't want to commit their time to things nowadays. So if you take it too slow, it's not going to go anywhere. I mean, I've had clients and brands that have edited the videos that I've made with them, and I've had to just say, look, I need to re-edit the whole thing because you spent 7 seconds showing a twizzling branded image at the start of the video before the video even starts. 7 seconds of advert. You know, every single person who sees it is going to scroll past. Like we're all scrolling our feeds now, waiting for that moment where you can just like swipe with your thumb and go to the next thing. So you need to grab people's attention and hold them there until they've actually seen where the video is going. And by the time someone's committed 3 seconds to it, they're likely to commit 7 seconds to it. If they commit 7 seconds to it, they're likely to commit the next 20 seconds to it. And it's sort of like a flowing process of grab someone, do something a little bit different, keep them there, keep them on the video, and keep progressing it in a way that's like telling a story, gradually adding new components in, like new this, new that. So, I mean, I like to do things that are a little bit overcomplicated, because I'll make something that could be a finished video there and then I'll add 30 seconds of just foolery to the end, where I'm just like, okay, now I'm gonna do this, do that, wrap it up, and get some sort of satisfying cross-section at the end. And that sort of change of direction is a great way to like keep people on the video, because they've already committed 30 seconds to it, so they may as well watch the next 30 seconds to see where it's going to go next.
What advice would you give to younger students who are wanting to maybe pursue content creation, or are just thinking of getting more into cooking? Because like there's such a huge focus on academics, and you know, whilst there is that kind of academic sort of side of food, it's mostly just, you know, cooking.
Yeah, well, I mean, content creation versus just getting into cooking, I guess, are two quite different things. But cooking, for one thing, is when you go to uni, being able to cook, you'll be really popular with all your friends if you're able to cook, because so many people can't still, and will just boil pasta and mix it with pesto. And it's actually a lot cheaper than you think to cook, than rather than just buying in meals all the time. Like if you buy a Domino's, that's going to set you back, I don't know, 12 quid, even if you get it on an offer. You make your own pizza, it's probably going to cost you about £2.50. So when you learn how to make it yourself, it's cheaper, nicer, and it's well worth doing. I mean, in terms of content creation as a career, my answer is it's never too early to start. I mean, if someone right now at school was thinking about, I might pursue content creation as a career, they can just start. I know at school there's barriers in the way that you might get teased if you start making videos. People might have a bit of a laugh about it, being like, what's this video you made here? And you sort of have to get past that. People are going to be like that. People are going to think, what's this video he's making today? But the willingness to forget about the cringe and just go and make it can take you so far in life, just not caring what people say, what people think. I mean, I had the benefit when I started making videos, is it was in the middle of COVID, so anyone who could have been like, what's this weird video you're making? Well, I wasn't seeing them in person because it was COVID.
Yeah.
So I had the advantage in
I mean, you're probably secretly watching your videos.
Was there like any other challenges that you had to overcome even when you were in COVID?
I mean, in terms of like this, making content and stuff, something that I guess everyone has to overcome is that you go viral, you have this crazy video that has millions of views, and as you said, you've had friends that have done that as well, who've had loads of views on TikTok, and then you expect that to carry on forever, and you carry on making videos, and suddenly all your other videos are then going back to getting no views on them, and I guess you got the psychological barrier of, it's so annoying when I had this success and now it's gone away and it's not there. And it's the main barrier you've got to get past if you want to do this as a job, is that that's going to happen, and you sort of have to take it on your chin, figure out why it's not working, and see what went well with the first video, and try and sort of tweak your future videos to see, how can I make it work again? How can I make the views come back in? It's just tweaking it and trying to figure out how to hold people's attention. And if you go into it with like strategy, like things I've been talking about, like telling a story, it'll probably go well for you. You just carry on tweaking it, but getting past the barriers of, it's never going to happen, it's never going to work. You just got to, I mean, success is inevitable if you just carry on doing it over and over again. It's like, how much failure can you take before success is more or less who will end up being successful. Because it might take you 200 videos before anything goes anywhere. If you brave through that 200 videos and you build up a following, you build up a loyal audience, suddenly you've got this amazing career at the end of it, and you're like, damn, all those hours I put into making these videos that, okay, maybe weren't that great, but then those not that great videos helped me figure out how to make better ones. So all the hours were worth it, because as long as you're like learning and using it and thinking like tactically, like all the hours put in are worth it, even if the content produced isn't as great as it ends up being with the future videos.
Mm-hmm. So, how about we take a little break and you tell us what you're making exactly right now?
So this, which I'm making quite slowly, is going to be a guac.
Okay.
So it's got a bit of I know you said you couldn't handle much spice, but it's not got that much in. They're not like spicy chilies. Right, so just avocado, onions, chilies, coriander, garlic, salt, and a little bit of lime juice. This is lamb I cooked earlier, but we're just going to bang it in here to cook cook again while I finish this off.
Okay, so how about you walk us through what you're doing now? Because there's some new stuff out on the table.
I mean, if it was a video, I'd be almost like thinking about, how am I going to tell this as a story, because there's a few things going on. So like, is he making a pizza? But why is there guac? Like, how is that getting involved? I've got lamb two ways. I've got a big old that's a fillet that's come off a lamb leg there, marinated in like chipotle spices, garlic, all that kind of thing. And this is some like slow cooked lamb shoulder that I cooked overnight last night. That's going to go onto the pizza. The guac's actually for the end. I just thought I'd make that now. For the rice, I'm just going to squeeze a load of lime juice in because I want moisture to go in there. Because when we put it in the pizza oven, if there's no moisture in it, it'll just kind of like fry the rice, but it won't like heat it up. So we need some sort of liquid going into the rice. There we go. That'll probably do. And then that liquid will then become steam, and that will hopefully get the rice hot enough for us. And I've also got some beans going on. So these are kind of like burrito fillings, and when we've got all these ready, we'll then get into flipping pizzas, and we'll see if you want to have a crack at it, and then if you've got the dough hands.
I just want to mention, if the audience ever has any questions, you guys can raise your hands and then we'll come to you. Oh, okay.
I've got a question. In a crowded market, what's your USP? How do you stand out?
If you're in a crowded market?
Yeah, because obviously there's a lot of content creators, a lot of food. I just wonder what makes you stand out. Obviously, how do you make yourself stand out? USP?
Well, I think, I guess everyone's going to pick something that like no one else is really doing at the moment. I guess if you're able to if you've got a niche skill in the kitchen that is like a bit different to other people's, then you can sort of double down on that. So, I mean, there's multiple people whose like their whole thing is sandwiches. I'm the only one whose main thing is burritos now, but it's like having that unique thing is that you're more memorable. If people remember you by the thing you do, not necessarily your name. So normally I'll have people come up to me and say, "Oh, you're the burrito guy, right?" No one's like, "Oh, you're Ollie Patterson." Like, no one knows my name, and I'm like, "Hi, I'm Ollie. Nice to meet you." But the same thing with other people. They'll be like, "Oh, you're the sandwich guy. You're this guy." So if you want to start making content, you can do whatever you want, but you have to pick a main thing to make it around that's really interesting, because that's what people are going to remember you by. So you kind of have to pick your niche that's a little bit out there. I mean, I've got friends who, one girl who makes like blondies. The whole thing is she makes different variations on a blondie, and I actually followed her recipe and just started make one of them last night because I was in the mood to do a bit of baking. I don't really do baking much because it doesn't really fit in with my content. Whenever I make sweet food, it doesn't go down as well. And also, I've not got a massive sweet tooth, but I was like feeling it last night. I had all the ingredients. I had loads of nuts in and loads of butter. So I thought I'd make her baklava blondies. So I made those last night. If anyone wants to try them, they're over there. But that's not for me interesting enough for content because my following isn't built on that. So they wouldn't really be interested. But like you can pick whatever like subgenre like that interests you, and then you will find a community for it. Like people love stuff and trends go up and down, but really if you stay consistent with whatever your thing is, people are going to be drawn to it and be interested, I think.
Yeah, I mean, how did they go? Like, because you said it's not your specialty, so do you find that it's a lot harder to make baked goods, or is it just because like it's all kind of under one band, it's more or less the same?
Well, it's cooking is like, I think you can be like, I am a home cook, not a professional chef, so I'm good at certain things, but like when it comes to like other things, I'm absolutely useless. Baking is like, I can make pizzas really good quite well because I've made pizzas loads of times, but like repetition makes you good at it. So I've basically brute forced my way into like, oh, can we have a go at that? That's as high as I'll go. Because I made pizzas a whole bunch of times, but like I probably wouldn't be able to make a very good sourdough because I've only made sourdough like twice. So like if I tried to make it, it would just be like it wouldn't have like a really nice crumb structure. So yeah, just like practice makes perfect, I guess.
Yeah. Do you think there's a lot of science in baking?
I don't mean loads of science. I mean, the funny thing with yeast is luckily I used a freshly opened thing of yeast to make this dough, because what I didn't realise is when you got like a jar of yeast, you can leave it at room temperature, but if it's really hot, which it has been the past week, I went on holiday for a week, and while I was away, the yeast just was in the cupboard, in like an open jar, and anything over about 24 degrees, the yeast will start to die, even at room temperature, so the heat wave killed off my old thing of yeast. So I tried to make bread the day before yesterday, and it wasn't rising. So I mean, that's science, I guess. But the heat wave killed off your yeast. So in the summer, keep your yeast in the fridge. That's a little tip from me.
So what are you going to add to the pizza? Is it just the duck, or are you adding some like special sauce?
So I slow cooked a lamb shoulder last night. It's called birria, if you're familiar. And this basically is like a reduced version of the birria broth. They made it really thick, so we're going to pizza sauce. So probably be quite intense in flavour. So I'll just do a really thin layer of this because otherwise it'd be really salty. Normally you'd leave it quite liquid and have like a dunky broth at the end. I don't really want a liquidy pizza.
Have you ever made birria tacos?
I have made birria tacos, yeah. I think that was the first time I did birria. I did the tacos, but then you can't do that over and over again for videos. So every time I do it now, I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do a birria Wellington or a birria pizza, and you kind of have to like. So I mean, a lot of stuff I do is kind of similar to things that I've done before, but I'll just constantly do little twists and turns on it to make something a little bit different.
Yeah, sorry, do you have a question at the back? Yeah.
Hello. Some of your burritos online are outrageous. What has been your favourite burrito?
My favourite burrito to eat. I mean, context of when you're eating it really matters. I did a collaboration video with like a running content creator. So before we even started cooking, we went for like a really long run, and then we got back to mine and we did some cooking, and that was probably my favourite one I've ever eaten because I was so hungry. When you eat food, matters a lot of like, how much you enjoy it, because sometimes I make something that's really delicious, but it's the third video I filmed that day, and I've already eaten like a lot of big things, so I wouldn't enjoy it as much because I'm like, I'm just so full. But yeah, it's similar to what I'm doing now. I did almost like a beef version of this. I did like a slow cooked birria beef, and that was with. I'll get these out. Oh, these coming along. Give that a little spin, and then I could do like a ribeye steak. Oh, so I keep forgetting I can't go near the speaker, and I mean that tasted absolutely delicious. The problem is, of course, with having loads of cool cooking equipment and getting good at cooking, is it means that like whenever you go out to eat, a lot of it isn't as nice anymore. So I've always got my level of restaurants is like I only want to eat out at places that are nicer than what I can make at home, and well, a lot of them unfortunately aren't. But I do get some things that still blow me away. I had like a delicious curry the other day actually from a restaurant called Jim Carner in London, and it was absolutely divine. Where's my birria lamb? Right, so we've got, this is some low moisture mozzarella that I cubed up earlier. Obviously, mozzarella that you know will be in like a bag that's like housed in liquid, but for pizza, you basically, all the liquid sort of leaks out into the pizza, you get a really watery pizza. So the first time I made pizza, I had a watery one. Yeah, as I said before, you just brute force your way to being good at something by messing up and being like, oh, okay, what can I do differently now? So we've got our birria reduction, just a bit of mozzarella. This is all our slow cooked lamb going on too.
Are there any more questions?
There we go.
Hi Ollie. I can imagine one of the concerns of being a content creator is job security. Do you have any plans for the future, and do they take into account the potential decline in social media?
Good question, actually. I mean, it's always a risk, and that's why to do this as a job, you kind of have to be open to the fact that there's not as much job security as other careers. I try my best to like nail down as many long-term contracts as I can. So like I will take like lower paying contracts from like companies, and it'll be like a 12-month deal where they'll pay me like half as much per video, but then it'll be like 2 videos a month for 12 months. So I've got like a fixed guaranteed income for that period of time. But I get paid a little less, but it's good to do that just to have the job security, because especially when you go to getting a mortgage as well, it's notoriously hard to get a mortgage when you're self-employed. But if you've got like longer term contracts nailed down, that's way more appealing to them. So it's trying to like sell yourself slightly shorter on occasion just to get some fixed guaranteed income coming in. There we go.
Do you ever cook and then you don't end up posting it? Do you ever cook for yourself or?
I do, but when I cook that isn't for content, it's typically a lot more simple. So and a lot healthier as well, actually. Hang on. Oh. I underfloured the base of this, so before it goes in there. Last thing you want is a ripped bottom of the pizza. So I'm just going to quickly reflour the base of that. There we go. And hopefully now that will slip off nicely. There we go. Right. There's also some fresh bits I'm going to put on that as well. So just use some quick coriander onions to go on as well. What heat are we on?
What is probably your favourite part of baking or cooking something?
Well, because it's my job, I effectively have all day to create whatever I want. So I can make the most complicated, unnecessarily stupid things. It tastes absolutely delicious, but like, would not be able to be done by anyone who's not doing it for a full-time job. So when I've been cooking something for like 2 days, which has like 20 steps, then I get to it and I'm eating it and I'm like, I'm the first person in history to probably eat this. It's blooming delicious, and it's my job to do it, so it's quite satisfying to just make weird food, and then it doesn't always pan out, of course. Now, sometimes spend a load of money on ingredients and it will absolutely mess up. So it's probably about one video I'll film a week that will just completely mess up and won't make it to social media. I mean, most of them that go wrong, I can sort of refilm them, so I always make extras. So see, I've got 4 dough balls there.
Yeah.
At home, I'd always probably make at least 2 or 3 dough balls, just in case the base sort of tears as I'm trying to cook it.
Yeah. We've just got another question here.
Do you always pre-plan all your foods and your burritos, or do you ever do it freehand and just go along with it?
For a video, it's always pre-planned. If I'm eating it, I'll just throw whatever I've got in the fridge. But yeah, no, every video I make nowadays is very much planned in advance. But when I first started out, I'd just be like, my early burritos were just like, oh, I'll just throw whatever I've got in and just wing it on the fly. But it's almost now, because I've made everything so complicated, I've almost got to like keep it being overcomplicated, otherwise everyone's like, oh, this is a bit boring for you. There's almost like a pressure now to constantly be like trying to innovate, because I don't want to be like, oh, he's taking a step back now, he's stepping down. So there's almost constantly chasing the next big thing. But I feel like rather than like constantly upping myself once and over again, I sort of now try to pivot and be like, okay, I've done a bunch of videos on this thing, like Wellingtons. Maybe I'll do croissants now instead. So now I'm like in my head, I'm doing a croissant series. So I made burrito-filled croissants a few days ago. Posted a video, went down really well. So now I'm like, okay, maybe I'll do a croissant series. So now I'm like, just today I made some beef Wellington croissants actually, which were rather delicious. But it's again, it's all things I've done before, because I've made the croissants before, I've made beef Wellingtons before. So going into that, I knew it was kind of going to work, because I've made so many similar things, and it's all about thinking about what can go wrong with this dish. So when you make a beef Wellington croissant, you got to think, okay, so the beef fillet and then the mushroom's going to leak loads of liquid. So how am I going to stop that liquid from seeping into the croissant and stopping it getting a flaky crust? And the answer to that was just like doing the beef layer, the mushroom layer, then the prosciutto layer. But obviously the important part for the liquid is the crepe layer, because if you need to get a good crepe going all the way around the outside, which will soak up all the liquid, and therefore the actual croissant part that's on the outside of that won't go soggy. So it's like, because I've failed so many times already, all of my failures have like helped me like, okay, so that's why I need to stop it doing it next time. So I mean, some things that I've done that are failures, I'm never going to try again. So ostrich eggs, I don't know if anyone's seen ostrich eggs before. They're about yay big, and I think they've got as much egg in as about 24 normal sized eggs. The problem is with ostrich eggs is the egg whites set, basically the yolk sets before the white does. So by the time the yolk is fully cooked through, the white is still liquid. So you can only really hard boil an ostrich egg, and a hard boiled ostrich egg tastes absolutely minging. You can like scramble it and do like a scrambled egg with it. That's probably the best way to get around that. But like scrambling eggs isn't as interesting for my content as other things I'd want it to be. Where can I put this? Tell you what, one sec. Where did I? Here it is.
Okay, I think we have a question at the back. Toby.
How long would you say it takes you to make each video, and do you have anybody helping with editing and whatnot?
Each video, I'd say, is it's often a multi-day process. I'll film sort of like 3 videos over 2 days, because there'll be certain steps where, like, I'll make the dough and marinate something the day before, leave it overnight, and have everything ready in the fridge to go at it again tomorrow. But in terms of hours spent, it's probably 5 hours filming per video, with waiting time in between, and maybe 3 hours of editing. So it's about 8 hours of video, and I guess I try and do, when I can, 4 or 5 a week. So effectively it's a full-time working job just to make the videos, and on top of that you've got, you know, engaging with clients, you've got like various meetings and stuff. So like on Friday I'm having to go down at 6 AM down to London. So I mean it is effectively a full-time job, but obviously in a way that I can control all my own hours, and I could do less and just take like, but then obviously you do less work, you get less results. So but it's quite nice to be able to fully control, like, all the results are just as a result of the amount of effort I put into it. It's quite rewarding to know that you can just put in more work and get better results. And I think that's the secret to long-term success in it, is that you can go lucky and go viral, but really the people who will make it successful in the long run are the ones who just show up over and over again, keep putting in the effort, keep trying to innovate. So like, if anyone wants to do it, like the effort you put in is proportional to the reward. So just find something you're good at and that interests you as well.
I don't know if you remember your first viral video, but if you do, what type of burrito was that?
It was actually not a burrito. It was my first one that got any amount of views. It got 100,000 views, and it was me making cookies in March or April of 2020. And it was purely me going to the supermarket, buying a bunch of chocolate that was reduced to clear, because I don't know if you know, after Easter all the chocolate's really cheap because you want to get rid of it all, or at least it was back then. And went to Tesco, bought a load of chocolate, brought it home, and just showed people the basic ratios of how to make cookies, which is like 1 part butter, 2 part sugar, 2 part flour with a couple of eggs in or something like that, with a load of chocolate in, and that got 100,000 views. I was like, well, that's random. I was just making videos to send to my friends. I wasn't meaning to go viral. And then I tried a few more videos. None of them did really well. And then a few videos later, I did another one that was how to make honeycomb. So that's melting down sugar and putting in bicarb of soda to make it bubble up, and then you sort of set it in a pan and you got honeycomb. Very un-burrito related, and that got 300,000 views. Then a short while after that, McDonald's was closed because it was locked down, so loads of restaurants were shut. So I was like, oh, McDonald's is closed, so I had to make my own sausage and egg McMuffin, and I showed how to make a sausage and egg McMuffin at home. So it's all really basic stuff, and just I got lucky at the time because TikTok was a new thing. Not many people were making cooking videos on TikTok back then. It was all sort of like dancing and stuff. So I got in at the right time, got really lucky, and my really average videos were able to do really well back then just because of the time. Obviously now there's a lot more videos being made. The barriers to entry are a lot higher, so nowadays it is harder than when I started, but it's still very doable. Do you guys want to have a go at making a pizza?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, sure. I mean, yeah, okay.
But I think we're ready to assemble. So now we're going to basically using this like we would use a tortilla and turn it into a burrito. So we've got like a smoky black bean stew going on. A little bit of lime rice. A good chunk of our lamb leg. So for lamb, if you're using lamb, if you're going to slow cook it, you should probably always use shoulder, because lamb leg does slow cook as well, but lamb shoulder just outperforms it in like every area that you can think of. Like it's more tender, more juicy, more flavoursome when you slow cook it. But lamb leg, you can cook it like a steak, you can cook it like pink. You probably want to take it to more of a medium rare, because it's not as like tender as beef, but it is more flavoursome than beef. So yeah, lamb leg, keep it pink. Lamb shoulder, slow cook it till it's falling apart. Right, and then We've got a bit of our, what's a good implement for that? I'll use this spoon. Bit of guac. Maybe not that much guac, save some for the rest. Then we've got a little bit of zingy slaw. You always put dry stuff on top of a burrito because this basically stops the guac from leaking out when we wrap it up in a set. And then we'll just use the paper, so carefully, get that wrapped up, and then tuck the paper underneath, hold it all together, into a burrito. There we go, easy as that. And then for the video, you've got to get that cross section. Obviously, in normal burrito eating terms, you're going to start like that and go rah, 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 rah. But if you're making a video, this is the part that people want to see. And you get a cheeky little reveal, like so. Boom. There's a birria lamb pizza burrito.